Today we're in the current generation GX460 out here in the Mojave Desert, and we're going to talk about and speculate about the next generation Lexus GX. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we're going to do a little speculation about the next generation Lexus GX, and we're kind of going to talk about what it might be. Essentially speculation, but more importantly we're going to talk about everybody's fear. So let's just jump right into it, and that is your number one fear, which is the Lexus GX, the next generation, probably going to have a turbocharged 4-cylinder or turbocharged 6-cylinder engine inside of it. So that's going to be music to your ears to some, or it's going to be absolutely a deal breaker for others. Now, in order to understand why there's going to be either a turbo 4-cylinder or a turbo V6 in the next generation GX, gotta understand kind of what we're driving here, the current generation GX, and one of its biggest downsides, and that is the astronomically horrible gas mileage. And at the time this car came out, originally the gas mileage was decent, but in a nutshell, times have changed and there's better ways to get a V8 of this power output with better miles per gallon. So one of the biggest downsides of the vehicle I'm driving right now is the horrible gas mileage. On top of that, you have to use premium gas. So Lexus knows this, of course, and what are they doing? They're putting in a turbo V6 or a turbo 4-cylinder in the next generation GX. Which one is it going to be? Nobody knows. But they have both. They have a turbo 4 on a current generation Lexus, and they have a turbo V6 on a current generation Lexus as we speak. So they're probably going to pull from either the turbo 4 or the turbo V6 and put it in the next gen GX. Now, let's talk about why most people have a problem with that. Well, they have a problem with a turbo on here on the GX, not because, or the next gen GX, not because it's going to decrease power output. Quite the opposite. The new turbo, whether it's a turbo 4 or a turbo 6, is going to put out more power than this current generation right here. On top of that, it's going to put out better gas mileage. So you're going to get more power, better gas mileage. So what's not to like about these turbo engines, these new turbo engines in the next gen GX? And quite frankly, it comes down to people's apprehension over the reliability of a turbocharged engine in a big fat vehicle such as this Lexus GX 460. And to that I say, we have to look back at the history of the turbocharger. In other words, let's bring it back to your favorite movie, the Titanic. Or maybe that's my favorite movie. But anyway, the Titanic, the ship that hit the iceberg and sunk into the bottom of the ocean. You all know it. Well, did you know that the Titanic actually had a turbine engine? So Titanic had 3 engines. The 2 outboards propellers were controlled by normal piston engines, big pistons of course, but it had a 3rd engine in the middle. So right in the center of the ship was a 3rd propeller, and that was actually controlled by a steam turbine. So inside the Titanic, they actually had a turbine in there. How crazy is that? What's my point of this rambling? Very simple. The turbo is nothing new. The turbo is short for turbine, and that's nothing new here. It's been around forever, and it's tried and true. Every time you get into an airplane, that engine is a has a turbo on it. It's a turbofan engine. So a turbo or a turbine is just a bunch of fans that are moved by an expanding gas. In the case of the Titanic, that expanding gas was steam. Expanding steam hit the turbine, moved the blades. In the case of a jet engine, when you go in the sky, it's jet fuel, expands, and then the turbine fan blades move. In the case of a car, it's exhaust, back pressure, and expanding gas that hits the blades and it turns. So it's a very ancient, by today's standards, and old technology. It's certainly nothing new. The only question is, on people's mind is it going to be reliable? And the reason why I gave you that boring history lesson is to kind of put it into context that the turbine or turbo can be made really, really bad or really, really good. So you have your turbocharger that came stock on your 83 Dodge Colt. That lasted about 10,000 miles before it blew up. Okay, and then you have your turbo inside your everyday jet engine that's 33,000 feet in the air, flying for millions of miles without issue. And then you have all sorts of other turbos. They're used in power production. They're making your electricity right now as we speak in a power plant. My point is, you can make a turbocharger good, and I have no doubt that Toyota and Lexus in their next generation of GX is going to pick the best turbochargers available for this application. So I feel the fears of an unreliable turbo simply don't have any logical or evidence-based backing in the context of Toyota's exemplary engineering history. Now, if we say, okay, they've had bad turbos in the past, sure, you can make that argument, but they simply do not. On top of that, we're now in an age where the market for turbos is more competitive. Back in the 80s, turbo was just a cheap way to make power, so there was less supply and demand, so they made them cheaper, both in terms of price and quality. Now, everybody wants to put a turbo in their vehicle because it increases power and EPA gas mileage, so it's a win-win. And the technology, therefore, has advanced due to this competition within the turbo manufacturing marketplace. You can rest assured that companies like Toyota and Lexus have buddies over there at General Electric and Rolls-Royce, which makes the turbines for, you know, your Boeing 747 and your Airbus 380. You can rest assured that they're going to have some contacts within that industry to make and source the best turbos for your next generation GX. I have no doubt. On top of that, they're going to test these turbos to exacting specifications. They're going to torture test them out here in the desert just like we're doing now. And they're going to torture test them up to 1 million miles. And there's no doubt they spent no less than $2 billion in R&D to get this right. How do we know? They're Toyota. They don't want to make a mistake, and their reputation depends upon one thing that they're known for: reliability. So that's the first speculation about the next generation GX, is that it's going to have either a Turbo 4 or a Turbo 6. Some people are not going to like it, but I will argue that it's going to be awesome. Now, you could make a subjective argument about the character of the engine. In other words, is it going to have this V8 growl here? No, probably not. It's not going to have the same soul, but it won't be soulless. It's a different kind of soul. So you kind of, you know, some people used to say, four cylinders don't have souls, hybrids don't have souls. They do. They're just different kind of souls. Now, whether you're going to like that, that's up to you. But it's a stretch to call a twin turbocharged V6 or even a Turbo 4 soulless. And what that new turbo engine is going to bring you is something that GX owners have complained about over and over in this current generation, which is, here I am driving, what am I going? The speedometer says I'm going 9 miles an hour, having a blast out here cruising along in this beautiful desert. This is the natural habitat of the GX or the Land Cruiser Prado. It's a slow type of thing. It's laid back, cruising along, enjoying this beauty here, right? You're enjoying it too. I'm not at all in any type of driving situation right now where I would need or even want this big V8 power. Why? Because I'm going 9 miles an hour. And that's where this car shines, obviously, is off-road. So it's a bit of a, I'm not getting, diminishing returns. I'm not getting what I want out of this V8 when I'm off-road, because I'm not really using that V8 when I'm off-road. This might as well be a 3-cylinder right now when I'm going 9 miles an hour. That's all I need. So with that in mind, Lexus has to strike the balance with fuel economy and where this engine is really going to be used, both on and off-road. And the sweet spot to them is a turbocharged engine, because you're going to get more power. So you're going to get more power than what I'm using right now in this V8, but better gas mileage. So the on-road people are going to be happy, who just have to have that power on-road. Not judging, I'm saying you're going to get that. You're going to get the power. You're going to get more than this, and you're going to get better gas mileage. So in light of thinking positive about these change, I understand it's very uncomfortable for people to handle such change. That's normal. That's just a human psychological thing. When we had carburetors and they went over to fuel injection, everybody said, "Oh, we can't have fuel injection. You need a carburetor, and you got to have condenser points, and all that old school stuff. You can't have computers and all these gizmos. They're just going to fail. What's that? A computer port down there? OBD? What does that stand for?" I get it. That was the same backlash way back then in the early 80s over computers and fuel injection. Okay, then we had the same backlash over hybrids. Then we had the same backlash over CVTs, and I'm sure if you go back, you have the same backlash over automatic transmissions. You need a stick. You can't trust a automatic transmission. So my point is, if you're apprehensive about this, that's perfectly normal. But do think on the bright side here and the logical side, which is Toyota has a heritage and a tradition to uphold. They're very proud of it, and they're very disciplined, and they don't want to make the GX, which is their Land Cruiser Prado in both Japan and the world market, they don't want to make the next gen GX worse by any stretch of the imagination. They want to make it better, and they certainly don't want to tarnish the one thing that the world knows Toyota for, and that is its ultimate reliability. So to deduce that Toyota would take a risk on a turbocharger, even though traditionally turbocharged cars have come with a stigma for being unreliable, do know that if it's up to anybody, it's going to be Toyota that's going to change that perception and reality. As I stated earlier, they're going to do objective testing on the turbo in the laboratory and in the field. They're going to run that thing through. Now, what magic do they have up their sleeve? Well, I don't know for sure. I don't know exactly where they source their turbo from. In other words, what manufacturer. But I do know, based on, again, what I mentioned about Boeing and the aerospace industry, they know how to make a turbo go 1 billion miles and not have any issues. This is not your 80s turbo that ran on roller skate bearings. Not at all. So that's a big concern for most people. So let's move on to more speculation about how can we improve upon this absolutely perfect ride here. And honestly, there's not a lot to improve on. As I'm sitting here getting the best gas mileage, I know because the Eco Leaf here is on, I can't think of much to improve on, but let's go ahead and speculate. Here's some things that we do know are likely to happen. The KDSS system in the next generation of GX is more than likely going to be the Toyota EKDSS system. That stands for electronic KDSS. What is EKDSS? It's basically improvement on the regular KDSS, and essentially allows people to do what they've always wanted to do with KDSS, which is essentially lock it out or turn it off or disable it when they feel that they want to disable it. In addition, since it has electronic actuators, it will be electronically actuated based on multi-terrain select or whatever drive mode it thinks it is in. So if none of that babbling made sense, the eKDSS is a KDSS system that is more controllable. You'll be able to turn it off, the front can come on, the front can go off, different speed, varying conditions, blah, blah, blah. One of the main complaints about this GX is the KDSS system only disengages, or yes, I should say disengages. In other words, it disconnects the sway bars only at around 12 miles per hour or less. And that's great when you're crawling along, and that's certainly what you want out of your KDSS system when you're crawling along. But there are situations that are in between that and full on-road, such as what I'm doing right now. This dirt road I'm on, as you can see, is not too crazy. But once I go over 12 miles an hour, which I am, I'm at about 19 miles an hour, the sway bars have stiffened up. KDSS now is active, and even though I'm not doing any crazy turning, I've got a full stiff suspension here, where if I was able to hit a button or KDSS was able to disconnect the sway bar right now as I'm going about 19 miles an hour, these washboard roads and undulations would be a lot more comfortable. So I suspect eKDSS is going to be on the next gen Lexus GX. What else is coming? All right, I suspect that an improved A-TRAC system is coming or will be implemented, but not to the point of being called something new. It'll be an improved an improved A-TRAC system. In other words, a brake locking differential, the same as this very, very, very awesome Toyota A-TRAC system. It'll be an improved system that will maximize what A-TRAC is supposed to do. I don't think it'll be as groundbreaking enough to warrant a whole new name. But remember, I keep saying KDSS, A-TRAC is vehicle specific and application specific, and they're going to tweak and tune it specifically for the GX and improve upon it even more. It's already near perfect, but I think engineers are going to take it further. All right, next I think that something that's not going to change on the next gen GX, which is kind of a bummer, and that is the Lexus design language. In other words, the low-hanging body kit that has plagued this generation GX. Lexus insists on matching the design language of the rest of their vehicle lineup. Does anybody remember the days when vehicles look different within the same lineup? They look drastically different. So let's take Mazda. You had a Miata, which looked radically different from a 323, which radically looked different from a Mazda 626, which radically looked different from a Mazda Millennia, or whatever it was called, the Millennium. I think it was Millennia. But remember, models used to look different. Somewhere along the line that got thrown out of the window, and instead of that today, we have this situation where a designer makes this, in the case of Lexus, the Predator grille that you all love and hate, and puts it on one model where it works. You know, maybe the sedan, hey, it looks cool. But somewhere in the corporate structure, the order is given to make all the lineup look like that. And that's one of the biggest complaints about this current Gen GX, is that they put the Predator kit on this GX where it doesn't belong. And my hope is Toyota and Lexus will scale back that body kit. Now, we're already seeing that in the current LX600 that's coming out. So we are seeing some hints that Lexus is scaling back the matching design language across various models across the lineup, is what I'm trying to say. But it's not enough. So if again, to make this make sense, I think the next gen GX is going to scale back the body kit just a little. Not enough to where buyers are going to look at it in the showroom and think right out of the box, I can take that off-road without having to cut the stupid front bumper and cut the side skirts. Unlike where it's unlike the Lexus, the Toyota Land Cruiser Prado upon which it's based. In world markets, it doesn't come with this body cladding. Lexus, I don't think, is going to take the full step into deleting all of that. Now, why they don't do that is, again, their psychology about matching the look of the lineup and making it look a certain way. And I get it. Most buyers who buy a Lexus GX are going to keep it on road, and they want it to look as sleek as possible, this, that, and the other, and they may not want it to look truck-like. It would be nice to have the option of a Lexus GX without the body kit type of option, but that's highly doubtful. So I speculate that we're going to get slightly less body kit, but still body kit, to where if you're going to go ahead and take it off-road, more extreme than what I'm doing now, you're going to want to go ahead and delete that. The final speculation has to do with the overall luxury and infotainment and these sort of creature comforts, comfort and convenience, as I call them. And what Lexus is going to do there, I think, is going to be pretty evident. Everybody has complained over and over that's reviewed this GX, current gen GX, that it is indeed old technology. People who love technology hate this car. Commodore 64 navigation system here that, it's might as well be a black and white TV. That doesn't work. It's archaic. So Lexus is going to go all out in the technology department. So if that's your concern, you have nothing to worry about. Lexus is going to go all out, giving you all the creature comforts, the latest tech, wireless Apple CarPlay, whatever else is the latest and greatest thing. I have no doubt. Now, they'll probably keep that technology in that GX for the next 20 years like they did with this. But for you new buyers and for you first-time buyers of the next-gen GX, you're going to have nothing to worry about as far as tech goes. I assume it's going to have all the front cams, all the side cams, bird's view cams, high-definition monitor, touch screen, the works. It's going to have the whole kit. So you have no concerns there. Other than that, I don't foresee a lot of changes. So in a nutshell, it comes down to this. Are you going to be okay? Are you going to be okay with a vehicle that has relatively little changes, but has a major change in the engine department, which is that turbo 4 or 6? There's no way around it. You're getting a turbo 4-cylinder engine or a turbo 6 engine in your next gen GX and probably 4Runner as well. I would argue, get used to it. They're here to stay, but I would apply some basic knowledge and know that Toyota's not going to let you down. I know I sound like a fanboy because I am, but that comes with objective data. Having experienced these vehicles firsthand, like millions around the world, I've seen the ridiculous build quality and the ridiculous reliability behind this. Our last car was a 95 Toyota Camry with a manual stick shift. The clutch gave up at 300,000 miles. The money saved from driving that thing into the ground forever, literally, paid for itself and paid for this vehicle as well. That's Toyota reliability. Not a lot of manufacturers can claim that sort of reliability. Now, I'm not saying, hey, keep your car forever. I'm just saying, when things fail, if things don't fail, here's how I'll say it. If things last forever, they'll last. And if things last long term, they'll last short term, but not the other way around. So you don't have to keep your Toyota or Lexus forever, but knowing it lasts forever means that it's going to keep for the time you do want to enjoy it. But the reverse or obverse cannot be said to be true. If you have a car that's going to break down right away, it's not going to last forever. So I think you understand my ramblings. For now, this is just speculation. Let me know what you think about the next gen GX, what you like about it, what you don't like about it, what you think it's going to have, what you think people missed about all this speculation on the GX. Is Toyota going to pull a surprise, perhaps even compete with the Ford Bronco and totally switch it up as far as body style, and maybe this GX will look like something more like an FJ Cruiser, which is more, looking like the Bronco. So will Toyota and Lexus pull a curveball and surprise everybody? Nobody knows. So let's speculate. What do you think about it? If you found this video the least bit amusing or helpful, please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you, and have a great, great, beautiful, sunshiny day.